This is Angelique Tang from Letlovecometoyou with GP Walsh, aka the Reluctant Sage. And GP is here with me today because he is going to teach an online class with the title You Are Not Broken. And GP has gathered his experience from years and years of working with men, helping them to reclaim their balls or their masculine potency. And in addition, he's also a spiritual teacher. And I'm very, very happy that he's going to teach our Letlovecometoyou community a class called You're Not Broken. And so can you tell us a little bit about what's going to happen in the class?
Well, sure. It's the very first thing, of course, is that title, You're Not Broken, is, we all spend so much time, especially if you've been involved with personal development, self-help for any amount of time, or spiritual inquiry for that matter. There's such a sense that you're in the business of repairing yourself. We talk about our unconscious patterns and our programs. We talk about the way all the stuff that happened to us as children, and traumas. And, in the law of attraction community and the like, they say, it's all your unconscious patterns that are causing your problems. And so we kind of get this picture of ourselves as we're this really flawed, defective thing that needs to be repaired before you can have a life.
Yeah.
And while there are these things in place, nobody can deny that you have unconscious behaviors that are influencing your life. At the core of them is something that has been completely untouched and unconditioned by the whole thing. There is an essence to you that is quite accessible, that retains its original innocence, its original purity, its original significance. Who you are has never, ever been corrupted. It's been layered over for sure.
Yeah.
But imagine the kind of life you would lead if you started from the premise that you were whole, and you were working that to greater and greater expression, as opposed to starting from the point of view you're broken and trying to fix yourself all the time. Imagine the difference in quality of your life. If your premise was, I'm fine, I'm perfect the way I am. It's not that we don't run into obstacles, it's just there'd be a sense of inner resource, there'd be a sense of inner power that would make you equal to the situation that you were confronted with. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what I want to do. The very first thing is to instill everybody that that's really the fact. And whether you know it or not, that's the truth. And to just begin to even feel it for a second will have an enormously transformative effect in your life.
And I actually went through that myself 2 years ago when I discovered A Course in Miracles and the Law of Attraction teachings, and I really started getting into it. And because it was all about, basically this whole identity thing is like, what is your identity, and do we create or do we try to rebuild our identity on the basis that we are broken, or do we accept that we are already whole or already perfect as we are? And it has, I could really see the big difference it made in my own life. So I think this is an amazing class. So I know that you want to take the listeners also on a path of looking at the purpose in their life and the calling. And so I know that this is a huge topic. I was looking for my purpose in life since I was, I think I was 13 or 14. And I was already in some kind of crisis because I didn't know what my purpose in life is. Why is it important to know your purpose in life, GP? And what does it have to do with the law of allowing and the law of reflection? Because these are two things that you're also going to talk about.
Right. Well, purpose, the way I teach purpose is actually quite simple. It's not a big elaborate subject at all. It's simply who you are. And the more you know who you are, and you learn who you are through starting from the premise that you're not broken, the more your natural inclinations, your natural abilities, your natural capacity for self-expression gets liberated, you very naturally begin to gravitate towards that which is the most like you. which is really all our purpose is. Our purpose isn't a particular function we serve in the world. Ultimately, your purpose is very simple. It's to be yourself and be yourself fully. And then that will take shape in very specific things in your life. You'll be drawn to certain things and repelled by others. And the more you're in tune with who you are, the more natural that is. You know, when you're not in tune with who you are, you're drawn to the wrong things and repelled by the right things, right? And once you get a sense of who you actually are, and you begin to clear away all these weeds and begin to discover that essence of you that isn't broken, your natural inclinations just lead you towards things. And that really is the very simple fulfillment of purpose. It really is that simple. When you're being who you are, you begin to make the choices that unfold into the life you want.
Yeah.
It is so imminently simple, it's mind-boggling. We really do overcomplicate a lot of stuff. Now, once you begin to walk down that path, sure, there's things to learn, there's choices to make, there's contact, there's skills to be acquired as it begins to grow. But it's growing from something inside of you that's almost effortless. It's because it's you. I mean, what could be easier than being who you are? I mean, how could it get any easier than that? And so to really surrender to that, and to allow yourself to come to the point where you not only let yourself be yourself, but you discover that you're totally likable, you're totally lovable, you're totally worth knowing, and you're worthy of all of the benefits, inherently worthy, and there's nothing you have to do to get it. Your purpose naturally unfolds. It happens automatically because there's no more inner conflict.
I do have a question here, GP, and you can't see me, but I'm smiling all the time because this is, I mean, we've spoken about this in your earlier interview about law of attraction, where a lot of people mistake law of attraction about getting things, whereas it's more about aligning with who you are, and then, all these things will line up. So it's the real purpose is always about becoming who you really are. But my question here is, how do we know that we are tuned into who we really are? Because I know when I was much, much younger and acting out a lot of dramatic stuff, I was being a drama queen and a victim, etc., etc. It was before I actually went into this path of personal development. I also thought that was who I really was. I didn't know any better. So how do we know that this is who I really am? What are the differences?
How easy is your life and how hard is it? How many complications are there? How many things just flow very smoothly? I mean, your life is telling you whether you're on the path or not, whether you're actually aligned with who you are or not. I mean, if you have a lot of drama in your life,
not anymore.
Take a good look at how much you enjoy the drama. I mean, we get kind of a wicked pleasure out of it. It's like watching the news, I mean, people love to watch the news and they feed more and more negative energy to us. Yeah. Folks, if you don't want negative energy in your life, lose your appetite for negative energy. And when you're attracted to things like that, it's clear that you're not on purpose. So the key is to look at what's going on in your life. Your life is always, that's what I teach in the law of reflection. Your life is always mirroring back to you your character, the level of your growth, your interests, where you are on the path, who you think you are, is always being mirrored back to you. If you don't like your life, it's a mirror of your insides.
Yeah. And more of us are accepting that responsibility. And can you tell us a little bit about the law of allowing? Because, the law of attraction teachings say a lot about it, but what does this have to do with allowing, and how do you see it in the way that you work with your clients?
Well, allowing is a very deep inner spiritual state. It's a place where you stop being at war with yourself.
Yeah.
Primarily with yourself, secondarily from what's going on in the outside world. We are forever trying to fix ourselves. We're forever judging ourselves. We're forever criticizing ourselves. We're forever trying to improve ourselves. any kind of feeling that we interpret as negative that we experience, we're very busy trying to push it away. We try to entertain it away, we sedate it, we push it aside, or then we use some self-help technique to try to get rid of it. To allow a means to be able to go within your own heart, within your own soul, within your own body, and give it permission to feel what it's feeling. There's no such thing as a negative emotion. There are only emotions that we have interpreted as negative and therefore have tried to suppress out of our lives. And even a positive emotion, if it isn't given freedom to express itself, will begin to come out in negative ways, because the energy is the energy. It has no choice. You can't create it, you can't destroy it. It's either going to transform or it's going to get stuck somewhere. And if it gets stuck, its nature is to move. Its nature is to transform. And so if you're suppressing it, if you're holding it back, there's going to be an inner tension.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when I start working with people and give them the first exercise in allowing, they discover this enormous amount of tension the system is carrying that they didn't really realize it was there.
Yeah.
The modern word we have for it is stress, but it's not. But that's really that's a diminishment of what it really is. It's a much deeper relationship that we have with ourselves. And so at the beginning of allowing, you simply begin to feel your body. You begin to feel what it actually feels like to be in your own skin. And you give it permission to feel any way that it does.
Yeah.
And it's an enormous shift in the attitude we have towards ourselves. And it begins to open us up to self-acceptance. We find that all the things we thought were so horrible aren't so horrible after all. They've been made horrible. And it's true that a lot of the stuff that has been suppressed for good reason.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a child and you express yourself in a very natural way, and you get slammed by your tribe, by your family, by your parents, sometimes mildly, sometimes severely, it's obviously dangerous to let that behavior out. So
Yes.
the nervous system naturally puts blocks up to keep it from coming out in order to protect you. So it's not as if this is an enemy, right? I mean, it's been there to protect you. The problem is that the thing that's being suppressed could actually be the very best part of you. But it doesn't have access to the outside world because we've got these layers of defense there that are convinced that if it comes out, you're going to get hurt. And so to go in with some self-help technique and I'm going to fix this is just like the same thing, right?
It's also focusing on the wrong thing, right? It's focusing on fixing yourself rather than focusing on, the whatever you're trying to resolve. It's actually part of the solution. It's part of the
Yes.
mystery of what is trying to be revealed to you about your wholeness. Yeah.
Yes. And the nervous system and all of these layers of defense that have been created in order to protect you, that's what they're there for, will continue to do that job until they know it's safe to not do it anymore.
Yeah.
So what we do oftentimes with our self-help techniques and law of attraction is that we're so focused on fixing ourselves that the nervous system doesn't feel safe and it holds on tighter. There's one thing and one thing only that it cannot possibly defend against, and that's unconditional love.
Unconditional
really
acceptance. Yeah.
It's about an unconditional love for yourself, for the system that's been protecting you, for everything that is inside of you, that eventually begins to just wear away at the defense mechanisms. They just dissolve, they drop the defense all by themselves because it's no longer dangerous. If you're creating the danger inside that at one time was created by your environment, you're doing exactly the same thing. That danger has to go away.
Yeah.
And when it does, the defenses just drop all by themselves. There's very little you have to do at that point. And that's really what allowing is. It is allowing yourself to be who you are as you are right now, with all the problems, with all the difficulties, with all the programs, with everything in place to say, okay, I'm not going to fix anything. I'm here with no agenda. I just want to become curious as to my own being, my own makeup, what's happening inside. I become really curious about it. And eventually, you become loving towards it, and eventually you totally embrace it. And you find that all the defenses just fall away. And of course, as they fall away, the real you begins to emerge. And people talk about vibrating at the level of the thing that you're trying to attract into
Abundance,
your life.
love, wealth, prosperity, money, whatever.
There is no higher vibration than being yourself. You can't get any higher than that.
Yeah. So how is this connected to heeding your calling? Because let's say you're, and I know a lot of these people. I live in London, very in between the city and Canary Wharf, which is like the highest paid postcode in the whole United Kingdom. And I cannot tell you, GP, how many people are in unsatisfactory professions, where they are basically living out the what I would call the programming of society, which is you are supposed to have this, I don't know how many figure salary plus this mortgage, and deep down inside they might have a calling, but how can you actually know that it is your true calling? Meaning, if you're a lawyer or a banker and you have a calling, there's so much you need to give up. How do we know what is our true calling? I sometimes say to people, because I've been in an executive search and I'm a coach and a healer right now, I just tell them, your calling is not necessarily to do with another profession. It is more about how you show up in any area of life. And it could even be as a banker or as a lawyer, which you now blame for your unhappiness. Actually, there is no job, no profession, no relationship, no house, no country out there that can make you who you are. You create who you are no matter where you go. So I don't know whether there's something you can share with us around this illusion or this philosophy about your calling.
I'm so glad. Amen to that. Thank you for bringing it up, because immediately when people are feeling a discomfort or unhappiness, they want to kind of rearrange the furniture. Right? Right?
You're so. It's so true. It's the furniture. Sorry, I'm having a fit here.
And eventually you may need to. Right?
Yeah.
There's no rules on this, but that's not where it starts, right? It has to start with first listening to that voice, right? Again, when we immediately get into action to try to fix things out here, to cure a feeling that's in here, we're already off the track. The first thing we have to do is go inside and listen to the voice. We have to allow the voice to speak, hear what it has to say, right? And it may not take that big of an adjustment. And you're absolutely right. The very first thing that has to happen is you need to become yourself enough to begin to show up in your life as you.
Yes.
Wherever you are right now. And when I teach the full course, which is quite in-depth about working through your purpose, and it isn't just discovering, it's how you actually put it into action.
Yes.
Of course, most people don't get a sense of connection to their purpose till later in life. The Mozarts of the world that know, it's pretty much clear at 3 years old what your destiny is, right?
Yeah.
Most of us, it's like a whole lot later than that. We may have families and children and good-paying jobs, and we have lives that are maybe even abundant. But there's just this annoying voice inside.
Is
that
this
says,
all
I'm
there
not
is?
happy. And sometimes it's more severe. Sometimes it's a much louder voice than that.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
No. I was just saying, is this all there is? And then they fall into some kind of depression and they think it's my marriage, it's my job, or,
It might be. It might be the marriage, it might be the job, it might be other stuff in your life. But until you get in touch with that voice and begin to, and let it guide you more towards what you really want. And that's really where it's coming from. That annoying voice is your soul.
Oh no, shut up. Sorry.
Those needs. If you immediately jump in with your mind and your attitude and all these things you know how to do and start adjusting your life, you're just going to make a bigger mess, right? Or you're going to repeat the cycle over and over again. The wisdom that shows you how to make the adjustments is going to come from that voice. And because the voice, you're not listening to it directly, it becomes an annoying voice. And if you don't listen anymore, it'll slap you upside the head. It'll have some disaster happen in your life. It'll make you sick. I mean, eventually it will say, I am going to be heard. I will not be ignored. And so I love to get people when it's still in the I'm annoyed stage,
Yeah.
when it's very low-grade discomfort and hasn't gone into a full-out crisis,
Yeah.
because it will escalate to that. Because there's no life when you're off track from who you are. There is no life there.
Yeah.
And it's as legitimate to be a banker or a lawyer or an accountant as it is to be an artist or a musician. I know, or a healer, right?
Absolutely.
In the self-help movement, there's a lot of therapists, there's a lot of artists, and that sort of thing. But I've got lawyers, I've got Wall Street guys as clients. I'm so happy to see people like that also feeling that energy. They actually like what they do. I've got one client who's a Wall Street player, and he loves it, right? But he's also acquired this incredible. He went through a huge crisis, lost everything he had in the last crash, and it destroyed him. And we've been building him back up again. I mean, he had to reestablish himself, find out who he was. It was a wonderful experience for him because all of the bullshit got laid waste. And what was left was just him. And he's grown back into it. He started making money again. He's doing business again. He still loves playing the game. That didn't change. But the attitude about it, the inauthenticity about it, the trust, the relying on all of the perks to keep you happy rather than relying on your own soul to keep you happy, that had to go. And so, he was a crisis. I'd rather get to people before the crisis takes place, and that just comes from listening to that voice. If you're dissatisfied, listen to that. I will say that 1,000 times. That's what allowing is about. Listen to that voice. It's not a problem. It's not a psychological aberration. That's your soul speaking to you.
Yeah. And that's what I felt when I was 13, 14. When I was like heeding the call. I had no clue what it meant. And then I went through it several times in my life. And so I really, it's such a wise voice talking to us, actually. Last question, because we could actually talk forever, GP. I love talking to you. I mean, I'd have to hold myself back giving you comments because of the time. Who would you say would benefit so much from this teleclass?
Well, I'm very happy to be doing this class for you guys at the the community of Letlovecometoyou, because these are people who are actively seeking. These are people who want more meaning in their life. They don't want to settle anymore.
No.
They want a quality relationship. They want a quality way of life, one that feels like a quality of way of life on the inside, and not just because everybody's telling you that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so that is the audience of people who are ripe to learn how to actually connect to that voice. The reality is that you know what it is you need.
Yes.
You know what it is you want. It's been buried over by a bunch of voices that we've learned to trust that aren't really ours. And just kind of working through all those voices that aren't you to get to the ones you are is really the only technique there is. It's not really a technique, it's a skill that requires wisdom and patience and experience and even a little testing, right? You try stuff out. You give yourself permission to do things you didn't do before, and you just watch what the results are.
Yeah.
And you begin to dance with life, begin to play with life more. And so the people that can benefit are those who are really sincere about their journey towards a full life, towards the fullness of their being, and understand that the fullness of an external life is a direct reflection of the quality of your inner life. And so that, my best students are the ones that really devote themselves, who both devote themselves to doing the inner work necessary to come to terms with all the stuff inside, and are also courageous enough to go out and take action and do stuff and try stuff and meet people and put themselves out there. You have to have both.
Yes, totally. I mean, that was, I think, the biggest criticism on movies like The Secret. It's like you don't sit on your couch all day thinking that the job or the dream man or the dream car will come to you. Actually, the way that I teach law of attraction to my students and how I interpreted it is, receiving is in the act of doing. The receiving is in the act of you doing stuff, is you being that person that can live that experience, and that requires you to get out of the couch and out of bed and to experiment. Yeah.
Yeah, The Secret was was very remedial. It was very grade school. And it did a great job of helping. For a lot of people, it was a transition. It was a revelation to discover that they actually had some control, some say in their life. It was a big step out of victimhood. But I know several of the teachers on The Secret, and they all pretty much say the same thing about the Secret. Is like, it's such a small piece of the puzzle that it's very misleading, and has led for a lot of disappointment in people.
Yeah.
It isn't that as if it isn't true. It's just that it isn't just sitting on your butt with a picture in your mind and stuff falls in your lap. The law of attraction is the law of attraction is as I teach it. And I actually have a new, in addition to the class, I have a new video series on allowing. If you go to justallow.tv or justallow.net, you can sign up for a series of 4 videos, and I go into this actually in some depth. I call it the 7 Principles of Law of Attraction 2.0.
Oh no, I have to learn even more. It just never stops.
It's the next level of it.
Yeah.
And I make the point that the law of attraction is an internal law. We think of it as it's something out there we're trying to appeal to. We've made another remote God out of it. It is an internal law. It is within you. And it is obedient to you, and it is a perfect reflection of you.
Yeah.
So when you see that it's you, that when you are working on yourself, you are working on the law of attraction. The two are one. It actually isn't something out there at all. It's right in your very soul.
Yeah. And so, can you give us some logistical details, GP? I mean, what time is your teleclass?
The class for you guys is December. Oh boy, let me make sure. I think it was December 11th, the 13th. Hold on, let me grab my calendar here real quick. I should be prepared for these interviews. December. December 6th.
December 6th.
December 6th, 2:00 in the afternoon, Eastern Time.
2:00 Eastern Time for people in London. We're 5 hours ahead. Is 7 p.m. UK.
7 p.m.
And Central Europe
December
is 8 p.m.
And I do. I will. You'll send out the announcement to everybody, but I do ask for people to register so I can keep them posted.
Yes.
So if you just go to gpwalsh.com/letlove. And there'll be a screen there that you can register, and I'll know you're in the class and make sure you get all the emails and stuff.
Yes, well, we will send out the link to our community. We'll tweet it, Facebook it, and send it to our friends, etc. Anyways, I hope to be there. I think 7 p.m. Actually, I know my diary. I'll be at a dinner, but I will listen to the recording if possible.
I will be recording it, of course.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to miss it.
And make it available.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thank you so much, GP, for this special class, and I hope that many people will sign up and listen to your teachings. And I also invite them to listen to the recording that you and I did. Although we were talking about why men should grab their balls, I mean, really, that interview went actually really off topic.
It started there, but it just went all over the map. Well, it's just so enjoyable talking to you. I can't stop.
Thank you, GP.
Because this is a limited time that we have available. We don't want to inundate people, but gpwalsh.com/letlove will tell you all about it. And of course, this video is going out with an email from you, and that'll have the details in it as well.
Thank you so much, EP. We'll hope that many more classes will come with you. And
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really the whole next year is filled with classes.
Great. Because I'm an eternal student, thanks God. I will also look up the 7 principles of law of attraction point 2.0 or something. I will look it up.
Yes.
Thank you. Talk later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.